Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Carlos, aka Vladtez. I'm here to go ahead and show you a new video for my YouTube channel. This video will be based off of the top 10 coolest games that I came across to add to my collection. These are games that are typically usually overlooked and possibly even considered maybe to be hidden gems. Unfortunately, I don't have any gameplay footage for these games due to the fact that I don't have any way of actually showing these game footages, but one day soon, hopefully I will be able to go ahead and get the proper equipment and software to be able to do that for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's video anyways, so sit back, relax, and here we go. The first game that I picked up when I was going out shopping was at a record store that I was at, and I found this game called WWF Betrayal. Now, I have most wrestling games for a variety of systems, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, such as this one, and basically this game right here, this game is completely different from all the other games, which is really weird. And I've noticed that it seems like it's a rare game in some ways, I guess, because I've never heard of it. And I've heard of many games, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, Warzone, Attitude, you know, all these different games. WWF Raw, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, SmackDown versus Raw, and all that stuff, the 2K games, but never heard of Betrayal. So I tried this game out, and it is completely different from all the rest. How so? It is basically a side-scroller, sort of like one of those platform games, beat-em-up games. You basically start out in the ring. You choose from one of 4 wrestlers. I believe it was Undertaker, Triple H, Stone Cold, and The Rock. Those are your only options. And basically you start out from the ring. You get attacked by one of the characters, and then you're basically going through a variety of places. You're going through the stadium, out to like the behind the scenes locker room, straight to the boiler room, and you're fighting what looked like security and referees, and like all sorts of different characters trying to get a hold of you know, the main villain that they randomly choose depending on who you pick as the character you want to be at. And it's basically a punch, kick, and if you do a little bit of an easy combo, you can do their signature finishers, which would be like the pedigree or the rock bottom, Stone Cold Stunner, or I believe it's the tombstone. And yeah, it's completely different. I'm still playing this just because it's so different that I'm not used to a game like this for a wrestling game. And it's kind of similar to a game, I guess you could say, there's a game for the Nintendo GameCube that was basically called, I believe it's called WWF Crush Hour, and it's basically like a Twisted Metal version of a game, but with wrestling characters. Well, that was, I thought, the first time they ever did something like that. Clearly not. This was their first time that they ever changed things up. Now, do I recommend this? I recommend it for those that are trying to collect games, trying to collect wrestling games, and to those that basically want to try something completely different, but in the genre of, for instance, in this case, wrestling. Also found this game, which came with the instruction manual, which is called Looney Tunes Collector Alert. And it has Bugs Bunny and Marvin the Martian. And it came with the manual. I got it also at the record store along with that other Game Boy Color game. This game was interesting to me. It was the only game there that had its manual, and it was also for Game Boy Color. So these games, I picked them up. I believe I paid about $3 for each of them. And according to what I saw, the WWF Betrayal, I believe, goes for about, I think, 10 to 15. And then this one goes for about, I believe it was 10 or so. And this one, I find it to be a little different also than the Looney Tune character games that I usually typically play. This one was like a top view instead of also a side scroller, how it's usually played as. This top view reminds me a little more like a Zelda game, if you could say, but clearly not as good, but it is different. It's in its own way. It's a very unique game itself. It's basically a game that I clearly passed on before, but when I saw it this time around, as I got older, and not many Game Boy Color games that I usually run across, I decided to pick it up. This one, I don't know if I would recommend it because it can get a little boring if you're not a whole Looney Tunes type of fan, as well as also if you are basically not a fan of, like, I guess you could say, like, RPG-ish style, because there's a lot of things that you have to do, like collect your carrots, use them when you need them to, like, bring up your life back up, your health bar back up, and then I believe you can choose different weapons once you come across them, as well as also you'll fight off all these different, I guess, fake elf. I believe his name is Elfer Fudd. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. It's been a while since I watched Looney Tunes. Elmer Fudd, I think that's what his name is. And yeah, so you'll find a lot of fakes of those guys along the way, but then you tend to find him eventually, the real one, and you basically have like a little boss battle. When you go down rabbit holes, I believe that's when it starts acting a little more like a side scroller, but it's still in like a 3D dimension type. So yeah, it's kind of an awesome game, kind of not. It's definitely different. So it's up to you guys if you want to try a game like this out, but that's basically what I can go based off of it. I've only played it like maybe for about 30 minutes trying to get a feel for it. Same thing with the other one, the Betrayal. So yeah, the Looney Tunes Collector's Alert. Try it out maybe. This next game, it was priced at $13. I got it for, I believe it was like $10, but this was like an old game that I wanted to get. Old, but fairly still new. And it's sealed up. And that is GT Pro Series for the Nintendo Wii. This was one of the games that I originally wanted to get when I found out there was no Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' the World, Cruisin' Exotica, nothing cruising for the Wii. Till later on, after I bought this game, that I started talking about. So it sucks that there's no cruising games out after the 64, and I believe it was a Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color. There was one called Cruisin' Velocity. And after I bought this game, they started telling me there is one more cruising. It's just called Cruisin'. It's for the Nintendo Wii. It's out there. It's kind of high demand, kind of rare, kind of pricey, but not extremely pricey. It's more in their like $30, $40 range maybe. If you're lucky, you can get it for like $20, or even less if you are lucky. But until then, I got this one because it looked interesting to me. Usually it comes with a steering wheel in a bigger, thicker box, but this one did not, but it was sealed. It's still sealed. So because of that reason, I decided to pick it up because, why not? It's a brand new Wii game that I can play. I love racing games. I like the old school funner racing games like Cruisin' USA and all that, you know, where they don't take it too seriously when you drive around and get into a wreck or whatever. This game is up to 4 players. And of course, my favorite car is on the front cover. So I couldn't pass on a game like this. I bought this one in a comic book store. Yeah, comic book store. It was priced at $13. I got this one for, I believe it was $10. Retail value, I believe, is about $13-15, somewhere around there. This one, I can't review it too much because I have yet to open it. But based off of the graphics and what I'm seeing, for this price, it's worth it. I'm almost positive any racing game is usually worth it for a very low price of like $10. The next one up that I came across was a set of 3 games. These 3 games I got them from a person that was basically selling some games on an app. It's similar to Craigslist. It's the first time I ever used it. I believe it's called Let Go. I usually don't typically buy stuff on there. This set of 3 games are for the Super Nintendo. I have a very small Super Nintendo collection. Same thing with the Game Boy Color, which is why I picked these out. I basically, for the Super Nintendo, which is weird because it was one of my favorite systems, and yet I only have like maybe, I don't know, like 5 games for it, which is kind of sad. But I tended to rent out my games mainly back then for the Super Nintendo. So this game, all these games belong to a girl that I found. Clearly her name's there, Brianna. Thank you if you're watching this. All these games worked. This one is called Timon and Pumbaa, Disney's Timon and Pumbaa Jungle Games. This one is like a party game. Basically, it has a bunch of different little types of games to play. More of a kid's game for this one. It has like a game that's similar to Frogger, where you're Timon and you're basically climbing logs trying to get to the other side of the jungle. And then there's another game that's like when you play as Pumbaa, and basically it's like almost kind of like a, you know, like they're dropping like different types of like foods and stuff, and you're just going around catching them from below. It's weird, but yeah, this is a party game. I recommend this for kids, little kids mainly. Adults can play it as like a stress reliever type of game, but overall you might get bored of this one. Also Disney games, but these are made from Capcom. These are the more adventure type of games, as you can say. Each one of these, I believe, is 2-player games, if I remember correctly. This one's called The Magical Quest, starring Mickey Mouse, and basically this one is also a side scroller, like most of the Mickey Mouse games and Looney Tune games. This one's a side scroller, and I believe you can play as 2 players on this one as well as the next one I'm about to mention. And basically it's just a little adventure game. You know, you climb. This one is like climbing the beanstalks and more like fantasy type of adventure, based off of like old, I guess, books and like stuff like that. Like the first level, I believe, is based off of like the Jack and the Beanstalk, so it is unique. I didn't play with it too much, but I did try it out. Basically, I've been trying out all my games first, trying to see, making sure that they all work before I get into actually playing these games. Yeah, so if you are a fan of side-scrolling games, these games I would recommend. This one is called The Great Circus Mystery, and it also stars Mickey, and I believe this one says and Minnie Mouse. This one It basically takes place in the circus, and it's also similar to the Quest game, side scroller. Basically a little beat 'em up. You fight bosses at the end of each level, and I believe it has like a little bit of strategies that you have to figure out in order to beat these types of games. You'll run into other characters such as Donald Duck, and again, I played these for like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most, just to get an idea if it's working and stuff. These games, I recommend them to those that are Disney fans that enjoy playing side scrollers, beat 'em up, and would like to play with an extra player, especially this one. I believe this one, at least this one I know is 2 players. The Quest, I believe, is also 2 players. The Timon and Pumbaa, I believe it's possibly 2 players, but I think it takes turns. And those Super Nintendo games, I got all 3 of them together. I believe I paid about, what I paid, like $12 for all 3 of them. And basically I couldn't pass on that because it was $12 for 3 games. And typically each one of those games goes for about 15 to 20 bucks, except for Timon and Pumbaa. I think that one maybe goes for 10 to 15. This one I bought online. This one, the guy wanted, I believe, 15 bucks. I talked him down to 10 bucks. Typically, this is about a $10 game. I have the first game, now I have the second game. It's called Extreme G. This one's part 2, short for XG2, Extreme G2. This one is a racing game, kind of similar to the feel of Tron, but with like guns, blazing, obstacles to go through, kind of. It's definitely a fun game, racing game, shooter, and then it has like little like enemies that will show up randomly out of nowhere. You can play it, I believe, up to 4 players as well on this one. This one's for old Nintendo 64, 10 bucks. Usually it goes for about 10 bucks, except for this guy that I bought it from. He gave the manual with it. Now, typically I love getting the manual for Nintendo 64. A reason for it is because 90% of all my, actually I can't go 90. I have to say about 100% of all my Nintendo 64 games either comes complete with the box, instruction manual, everything, or the game comes with just the manual, because I have special boxes that I use to place them in. These almost like VHS type of boxes. I put a label on it. I don't know if you can see. I write the name, and then basically I just do it old school like a VHS. Pop the game in there, put the manual on top, line it up, and then just seal it up. And you can't tell me that doesn't look nice with the manual. So I love getting these boxes, and like all my games are in these boxes unless I have it complete. If I have it complete, then it's in its own box. So yeah, 10 bucks. This one, if you can get it for about 10 bucks, I recommend it. Next one up. Now, this one I was recommended by quite a few YouTubers out there that I've been watching about like hidden gems and stuff like that. This one is what they considered as one of the hidden gems, and after playing it and everything, I think it does count as a hidden gem. That is Atari Anthology for the PlayStation 2. This one is marked at $8, $7.99. This one, I believe I paid $5. This one I got from a retro game store that I was typically usually buying my retro old school video games from. This one does come with this original cover, which is the shiny gloss. I know you can see the glare of the plastic, but it does have the shine to it on the cover itself. Some of them, it will just be flat yellow. And This one came complete with manual and disc. Disc was in great shape with the box complete, original PlayStation 2 box. This one I recommend it if you are an Atari fan, because this one does have 85 games in it. It's got stuff like games like Millipede, Super Breakout, Video Pinball, Yar's Revenge, Warlords, Gravitar, Battle Zones, Asteroids, Centipede, Missile Command, Tempest, and yeah, and a lot more. So if you are an Atari fan, don't hesitate to pick one of these up. It'll save you the time and the hassle of hooking up your old Atari if you have an old Atari. If you don't have an old Atari but you love Atari games, this is your best bet. You know, if you have your old Atari like I do, keep it on the shelf. You know, don't wear it down any more than you probably already did with all the miles you've been putting in playing the old school Atari with the stick and the button. This is just easier. You know, PlayStation 2, you can pick one up if you don't have one for like 50 bucks. I believe this came out on Xbox original, and I don't know if it came out for the Nintendo, like GameCube or anything either. But I definitely think I remember this coming out for Xbox as well. So if you are an Atari fan, highly recommend getting Atari Anthology. This one has the most, I believe, amount of games all on one disc. So yeah, check this out. Next up, this one I got it from GameStop. Typically I don't buy my games from GameStop because they usually overprice or their games come messed up in some way. Either disc is scratched, cartridge don't work, box is incomplete, no manual, you know, or it's just roughed up like I don't know, like your cat or your dog started chewing all over it, drooled all over it, beating up, you know, your buddy spilt beer on it and everything. That's typically how GameStop's games usually come, at least every time I ever got pre-owned games from them. But because they are the only place I can think of to try to get Wii U games still, because they're all off of the shelves from like Targets, Walmart's, Best Buys, every store. They no longer carry Wii U games, and I'm kind of bummed out about that because that is also another system that I only have very few games for. I have like maybe, I think 5 or 7 games for it. Mainly got it for Mario Maker, and that was basically it, but I got a few other games on the side. This is one game that people kept, you know, some people kept saying, you know, these are only going up in price because they're just really fun, and, you know, it's one of those games that I don't see often, so I had to pick it up. And that is Paper Mario Color Splash for the Wii U. This one was $29.99 with my rewards, and I had a coupon. I paid, I believe it was $24 or something like that. I had like a couple dollars off through the rewards, and then like a coupon for $5. This game typically goes for, according to the those collector websites, they say that it goes for about $30, 35 bucks for value if it's complete, which this game I believe is. Don't quote me on that because I'm still looking into it. This game I actually just bought it today from GameStop, and I believe this is one of those games where it didn't come with an instruction manual, but it did come with one of these pamphlets on, you know, warnings and whatnots. But yeah, came with the disc, cover, box in great shape. If it is missing the manual, I'm gonna be upset. I heard nothing but good things about Paper Mario. I did play the original Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, and I thought it was a great game. It's basically kind of like a side-scroller RPG 3D-ish type of game. And he's made to look like he's made out of paper. I figured I'd pick this one up, especially when I heard that this one, the Wii, and the Nintendo 64 one are great games. The Switch one, I've been hearing mixed reviews because of the origami type of style or whatever. But yeah, so this one I have yet to play. This one I'll probably end up playing it tonight or possibly tomorrow or something. This next one is a Super Nintendo game, but I kept this one separate from the other Super Nintendo game because I bought this separate, and this one is the last game I'm going to show you. I'm actually proud to own this because it's not a rare game, or it's not an extremely rare game, but it is in a way kind of rare because I've never seen this in a retro game store. I've never seen it in a swap meet. I've never seen it in person. Never got to even have a chance to rent it because I didn't even know this game existed. But it's based off of a TV show, one of my favorite TV shows growing up as a kid. It is a Nickelodeon game, and it's called Rocco's Modern Life, Spunky's Dangerous Day. This game is probably my favorite Super Nintendo game that I own now, and I cannot believe how greatly shaped this game came in. It's like not a scratch on it. And I tried making sure that this was not a reproduction because I know, and it sucks, but I know there's so many reproductions of all sorts of games. Cartridges, discs, boxes, instruction manuals, everything can be reproduction now. And it just sucks because, you know, you want the original stuff. And those that sell reproduction should always say this is a reproduction, but they don't always do that. This one, I got lucky. I thought it was a reproduction. I paid a little bit up for it. I believe this game goes for about 30 bucks, maybe 40 bucks. And I paid, I believe, $20 for this game. And for the shape that it's in, I was like, is this the original game or is this a reproduction? Like, if you tell me it's a reproduction and this is as cheap as I can get it, I'm not gonna mind it as long as you tell me that it is. But no, this one's 100% authentic. I even opened it up, double checked everything. Everything looks legit. The guy showed me it's legit. I bought this one off of eBay. I saw the reviews of other people checking, you know, and he had like 100% credibility with, like, I believe 10,000 sales or whatever, or transactions of one way or the other or both ways. And so after doing a lot of reviews, looking at a lot of photos and all that stuff, decided to take him up on this game. And this is a fun game. Highly recommend it. You know, like I said, it's a side scroller. You do like hit things. There'll be like random, I can't even explain it. It's just random characters that just pop up out of nowhere. That's part of the show and also part of not the show. And basically it's a strategy because you basically have to get Spunky from one side of the level to the other side of the level, basically the finish line. And basically you control Rocco, and let's say there's a little platform down below. You have to hit a switch or whatever, and then Spunky, when he crosses, then it'll make him bounce up to the next platform, and from there he can keep moving. But if you didn't hit the switch, for example, he could be falling down below and basically drown in a puddle of water, you know, stuff like that. It's weird. It's a strategy game. It's you know, this was one of my favorite shows back in the day because the humor in it was kind of past PG, and if you look at it today, you'll find out that it's a little bit more has a little bit more dark humor than you actually expected and thought back when you saw it as a kid. So this one I do recommend picking up. This one would be what I would say is a hidden gem. You know, people pass it by, people place it online sometimes. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down in value. It's just all over the place because there's not enough copies that I can ever find of this game particularly. So yeah, that's why I picked this one up, and I'm really happy I did. Well, there you have it, folks. 10 of the coolest games that I was able to find, pick up, and add to my collection. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you do, leave a like, make sure to subscribe, so that way you'll be notified when there's new upcoming videos being posted on my YouTube channel, as well as leave a like, please, because it helps out to letting me know if you do enjoy videos such as these that I make for you guys. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, stay safe, and I will be seeing you on the next video. Take care.
And